Chapter 7. We are now back to Pei's perspective. This is a sidebar. It's funny. You can probably tell I've not figured out voices. I'm not like an accent guy. You probably didn't know that. You probably had no idea. So the only thing I can do is the occasional British, Aussie, and that's about it. I don't know anything else. So it's funny that this book has so much dialogue, and it's funny that that you even want me to do this because this is not in my skill set at all. But yeah, so it was just something I was thinking about in between these chapters. Anyway, chapter 7, Pei. Adina is going to collapse from shock. Then she'll squeal, and I'll cover my ears. I've never stolen so many coins from one person. Not that I've had the opportunity, seeing that most of us in loot don't even have more than a dozen silvers to our name, let alone casually carrying them around. My mind is reeling as I slowly make my way down loot, now cast in shadows as the sun sinks behind the crumbling buildings. I shake my head in astonishment and take my time strolling through the market, allowing myself to admire my accomplishment. Several merchants are already packing up the stands, closing up shop for the night. Kids scuttle around the street and chasing one another, earning dirty looks and shouts from the shoppers still milling about. I cut down an alley, close to where I robbed the unsuspecting young man, and start heading back to a fort. I can't wait to see the look on A's face when I stop suddenly, eyeing a small crowd gathered further down the street. Must be a veil. It's no surprise that the power of invisibility can inevitably aid someone at sleight of hand, using the ability to make cards disappear while simply holding on to them. I admire their deceitful little show to earn some shillings. I'm about to head the other way when I hear a gasp coming from the crowd, echoing off the crumbly buildings. And it's not the typical oohs and ahs that are presented during magic tricks, but scared gasp and shock and surprise. When my curiosity gets the best of me, I find myself behind the throng of people. Whoa, pause, I almost sound like thong. Sorry. Anyway, behind people's thongs, I find myself where there are many people in thongs, and I've lost my place. Behind the thongs of people, wedging between sweaty bodies and pushing my way to the front of the crowd. When I raise my eyes to the scene before me, I gasp, cupping my hand to mouth. It's him. When I saw him less than 10 minutes ago, and yet his shirt now clings to him with sweat as he prepares to strike the man pinned beneath with flaming fist. 3 other bodies litter the cobblestone behind him, slowly staggering to their feet before stumbling away. It's clear what happened. Obvious that these men had the same idea that I did, seeing the pouch hang from the stranger's hip, but they chose a much more violent way to get the coins. Well, whatever's left of them. I see the stranger start to say something to the man before he raises his fiery fist ready to strike. And then something is suddenly terribly wrong. He's clutching his head. I watch his cocky expression crumple into utter agony when a figure steps out of the shadows. I can only see his back, but he's tall and he's lean, raising a thin hand at the stranger, gasping in pain on the alley floor. Th- that's impossible. The crowd around me seems just as confused and awed as I am. With his hand still outstretched, the silencer takes small steps toward the black-haired figure who now slumps on the ground. He's crippling his power. He's crippling him. I can see the stranger try to fight, try to hang on to consciousness. The sight is suddenly so startlingly familiar, so sickening, that I nearly stumble into the man beside me. The stranger and the man who raised me looks nothing alike, and yet the image of one crumpled on the ground seems to bleed into the other, as I feel like that little girl again, standing idly as my father died beneath me. I look around, eyeing the gawking crowd. No one budges, even with their fancy powers. No one even makes a move to help. Either they're too afraid or they're too heartless. I know how this ends. I've lived it. When I look back at the stranger, it's my father that I see. Taking a deep breath, I take a step forward. I won't stand by idly again. I couldn't save my father, but I'll honor him now by saving someone who's suffering the same as he endured. I'm probably gonna regret this. I creep to the edge of the crowd and begin slinking up behind the silencer. I can practically feel the audience's attention shift to me, the throng of people silently watching. Crouching low behind the man, I spot a large, loose rock lying on the cobblestone and I snatch it up. Here goes nothing. I draw up to my full height right behind him and silently raise the rock, intending to connect with his skull. No such luck. He pivots, his black eyes boring into mine. With his attention on me, his crushing hold on the stranger drops. I hear him gasping for air on the ground. The silencer lifts his slender hand towards me, his shoulder-length hair whipping in the breeze. He's trying to silence me. I almost smile. No such luck. Nothing happens. Of course, considering I have no power for him to smother. He looks at his hand, then back at me, confused. The sight is almost comical, and that split second of hesitation is all that I need. I grab his wrist, twisting his arm at an odd angle before driving my knee into his stomach. I hear the air whoosh out of his lungs as he clutches his arm to his body, and with that, my adrenaline kicks in, itching for a fight. It reminds me of all those late nights and early mornings with my father, hours of training in the makeshift dirt ring behind our home. Both your mind as well as your body needs to be trained. Conditioned, he'd say, as I dodge his punches, all while answering dozens of questions that tested my observation. I wielded any weapon we could get our hands on while my father trained every part of my being, my mind, my body, my psychic ability, until one day there was no one to train me anymore. Wasn't there to protect me anymore. Wasn't there to continue teaching me how to protect myself anymore. The silencer recovers quickly, throwing a punch with his good arm and jolting me from my thoughts. I duck under it and I aim right, and aim a right hook at his jaw. His forearm flashes up to block my blow, forcing my arm down, grabbing it and spinning me so my back is pressed against his chest, and then the crook of his other arm is trapping me in a chokehold. I gasp for air, trying to remain calm. I fight the urge to claw uselessly at the arm crushing my windpipe, and instead whip my head back, connecting my skull with his nose, and hearing a sickening crack followed by the sound of gurgling blood. Blood. There was so much of it coating the floor of our small house resting between Merchant and Elm Street. Coating me, my father. I haven't been back since that night that I ran. The night that the king plunged a sword through my father's chest. The silencer's hold around my neck loosens as he stumbles back, clutching his nose. But I'm not done yet. Not even close. I slip the ring from my thumb and slide it onto my middle finger before sinking my fist into the silencer's cheek, ignoring the sting in my hand. Dropping his hands from the gushing nose, he swings at me again, but I already knew that it was coming. He always takes a step back with his left foot before he punches. I block the blow and grab his shoulder as I bring my knee to his stomach once again. Before he's even caught his breath, I have his head in my hands, driving his already broken nose down into my awaiting knee. I channel all my rage into each blow. My rage at the king who slipped into my father's study while he sat cushioned in an armchair, reading late into the night. Another right hook to the silencer's jaw. My rage as I vividly remember the sound of my father's cry when the sword tore through his chest, tearing me from sleep. I send a kick to the silencer's groin. My rage as I saw my father sliding out of his beloved armchair and onto the ground, slipping in drool. I drop my hand and sweep my leg in a wide arc, knocking the silencer to the ground. My rage as I held my father's hand, screaming and begging for him to wake up. I sat there all night, pants soaked in blood, trying to puzzle out what could possibly justify killing him. But the king doesn't need a reason to kill. He needs a reason to let people live. I beat down on the silencer, barely aware of what I'm doing as my mind reels. I was numb. My hand clamped around my father's cold one, holding it while I rocked back and forth, sobs shaking my body. I brushed his brown hair from my eyes, straightened his bloody clothes, whispered about all the memories we shared, while begging him to come back to me so we could wake once more. I was completely and utterly alone in the world, and when the sunlight poured through the windows, shedding light on the gruesome scene, I, I couldn't stand to be in my own home. Not that I could afford to keep the house at 13 years of age. I tried to bury him. I tried so hard to drag him outside and give him a proper goodbye, give him the honor that he deserved, but I was so small, and he was so large, so heavy, so dead. I slipped, and I slid in the pool of my father's blood, unable to budge his body. So I pulled the wedding ring from his finger, pushed it on my thumb, and I ran. The same ring that I am now using to sink into the silencer's cheek. If father could see me now, I hover over him, my rage finally beginning to fade as his black eyes widen. Blood streaks his face, gushing from his mouth, his nose, the other scattered cuts I've given him. I slide my dagger from my boot. Something flickers in his eyes. Fear. He fears what he can't control. And in that very moment, that something that he can't control is me. I bring the hilt of my dagger down hard against his temple, knocking him out cold. Still crouching over him, my gaze finds the gray one pinned on me. Emotions flash across the stranger's face as he takes me in, takes in what I've done. Shock, awe, confusion, and amusement of all things flickers across his face. I tear my eye from him, returning my knife into my boot as astonished murmurs rise from the crowd. I turn, stunned to find a mass of people staring. Merchants, women, and children all gawk at the scene, all whispering and pointing. 3 Imperials suddenly push through the crowd, hastily throwing people out of their way. I stiffen, preparing for some sort of punishment, maybe a few more lashes to decorate my back with. But they charge right past me, right past the unconscious silencer, and they drop to their knees before the stranger. That's interesting. And apparently, I'm not the only one who thinks so. The hum of whispers from the crowd grows louder, allowing me to catch bits and pieces of their hushed conversation. Silencer here in Ilia. Oh, it's Prince Kai. He fought off 4 men. Fought with the silencer without using a power? I freeze, heart pounding, barely breathing. Prince Kai. I had never seen the man. I never thought I would. I never thought I'd steal from him either. But I've heard enough about his reputation, how he's supposedly the strongest elite in decades, how he's the future enforcer, said to be callous and calculating, yet charismatic and charming when he wishes to be, when he chooses to play the part. I've heard how he's a rare and powerful wielder, able to sense another's power and use it himself. So as they're close enough to him. The deliverer of death, they call him. The prince usually stays in the comfort of the cushy palace, so it's likely that no one recognized the stranger as anyone of importance. And when he does leave the castle, well, the people he visits don't typically live to tell the tale. I slowly turn toward the Imperials huddling around the prince, watch as he shoves past them, irritated by their smothering. He barks an order, telling them to take the silencer to the dungeons, as well as clear the crowd from the street. The prince exudes authority and power with every step and every word. Imperials scutter to obey him as they round up a mob of people and push them out onto the loot. His eyes find mine. Even with his countless injury, he strides towards me, pushing a limp from his walk, a predator stalking its prey. And that's my cue. I try to slip into the crowd unnoticed, hoping to be washed away in the current of bodies, hoping he will forget that I saved him and let me leave quietly. No such luck. A callous hand grips my arm before spinning me around and pins me against the alley wall. He presses both of my wrists against the brick with strong hands leaning towards me. I writhe in his grip, but he doesn't budge. I'm not sure what I was expecting him to do, but it certainly was not this. Maybe offer a polite thank you? Note an interrogation against not an interrogation against a grimy wall. Oh, I would have never saved him if I knew who he was, what he is, what he does. I huff in irritation, sending silver hair blowing into my eyes and obscuring my view of his piercing gaze. So is this how you treat all the people who save your life, or is this just a new thing for you? I grind the words through clenched teeth, mocking his first ones to me. I wouldn't know, seeing that no one has ever saved me before. There's a ghost of a smirk on his face, offering me a glimpse of that annoying dimple. Well, let me enlighten you. When someone saves your life, a polite thank you would suffice. Maybe. He sighs and leans in closer, but not from those who steal from me. I think my heart stops beating. The prince knows that I stole from him. The prince, the future enforcer, the deliverer of death. Oh, I'm dead as the plague. But my fear is quickly replaced with a much more welcome emotion: anger. I'm angry at myself for helping the prince who kills like it's nothing and grants his father's wishes like it's everything. I'm angry for finding him not repulsive, since the very kingdom he's so loyal to makes me sick with its twisted values and beliefs. He is the future enforcer, the executioner of innocence, of ordinaries, of me. Feeling reckless and oh my gosh, I just looked. You're on your way home. Man, I gotta finish this chapter so fast. Oh my gosh, I'm finna start reading fast. I love you, hon. Feeling reckless and rather emboldened. What the frick? Emboldened. There we go. Feeling reckless and rather emboldened with death a mere breath away, I say, so he's pretty and he has bronze. The ladies must love you. I smile at him. The smile I give him is anything but sweet. You know, you might make a good thief if it weren't for the fact that you were so easily fooled by one. He's smiling, amused, arrogant as ever. You do realize who you're talking to, right? A cocky bastard? I say innocently before biting my tongue. I clearly have a death wish, but to my surprise, he tips his head back and barks out an authentic laugh. The sound rich, like chocolate that I occasionally steal, and deep, like the shallow sea. I've been called worse, he murmurs after composing himself, his hands still clasped around my wrist. Then amusement fades from his eyes, quickly replaced by cool consideration. Despite you robbing me, I suppose I should thank you for your help. I almost laugh at that. Apparently saving his life is comparable to simply helping. Although, I am curious to why the silencer couldn't smother your power, along with why I can't seem to sense one from you. He's eyeing me like he did in the alley when I stole from him, like I'm a puzzle he's trying to piece together. I blink up as the realization rams into me. He has the rare ability to see another's power and use it himself. He tried to sense my power in the alley only to find that there was none. Oh, I'm dead as the plague. Shoot, I got a few more pages. Oh my gosh, you're almost here. I look up at him, filtering the fear from my expression despite my frantic thoughts. I shrug my stiff shoulders, hoping that action looked far more casual than it felt. I'm a mundane. I'm a psychic. A psychic, he echoes, disbelief dripping from every word. Tell me, what is it that you can do? He pauses, shrugs. I've never met a psychic before. Call me curious. I swallow the hysterical laugh threatening to bubble out of me. The future enforcer isn't curious. He's calculating. But he must be rather amused by me. Otherwise, I'd likely be dead by now. My power's sort of a sense, I say easily, reciting the rehearsal line. I can only sense strong emotions from others, getting flashes of information because of it. I look into his eyes, willing him not to believe me, hoping he'll accept the answer and move on with his life, hoping that he will let me move on with my life. He looks to be fighting a smile. Is that right? And why would it be wrong? His eyes flick between mine for a long moment. Why is it that I can't sense or use your power then? I swallow, trying to seem as though I'm not struggling to come up with a believable lie. My ability is unpredictable. Even I can't control it or see it. That, combined with the fact that my power has a little strength as it is, must be why you and the silencer can't pick up on me. It's a mental ability, I shrug. I must be able to guard. What the frig? I must be able to guard my head from those trying to get into it. Oh, honey, you're so close to this house. I'm finna text you. Don't come in. I hold my breath, waiting for his answer. Except he doesn't give me one. He simply stands there staring at me. I huff before bloating. Go on. Ask anyone in the slums about me and my power. Better yet, I lean slightly forward. You can ask your Imperials. I had a lovely conversation with one of them just this morning. His eyes narrow slightly before he releases my wrist and takes a step back. Maybe I will. The bastard smiles. But I'd still like to witness these psychic abilities of yours for myself. So go on, prove it. If I had a shilling for every time that someone said those words to me, I wouldn't even bother stealing anymore. He crosses his arms over his broad chest, eyebrows raised expectantly as he elaborates. Read me, or whatever it is you say. Then he leans in, gaze glittering with amusement. Impress me, darling. My power isn't some party trick for your entertainment, but I'll play along, Prince. I give him a sarcastic smile before my eyes dart over his body. I'm not even sure I'll be able to pick up on anything with how unpredictable my ability is. Is that so? I ignored his mocking tone of voice and think of the calluses on his palms and the dozens of scars matching his arms. Well, obviously, he's a fighter. You don't have to be psychic to figure that out. I know I need to tell him something worthwhile, as if there's any hope of being alive, any hope of surviving this conversation. He'll kill me without a second thought for simply the suspicion of being an ordinary. May I see your hand? The words are a demand disguised as a question. I hold my palm out expectantly, eyes flickering from his face to the hand at his side. Only the best performance will do for the prince. His expression is annoyingly neutral, never taking his eyes off of mine as he places his hand in my own. You know, I've never met a thief with manners, and it seems that you're most definitely not the exception. I huff at that, ducking my head to turn my attention to the large calluses in my own hand. Is there a reason you insist on holding my hand? My gaze snaps up to his cool one. Don't worry. I'll try to resist kissing your knuckles, Prince. At the mention of his knuckles, my eyes sweep over them while his laugh washes over me. There's red and raw, and that's not only from this fight, but from ones prior. Blood trickles down his fingers from the reopened scabs, though he barely seems bothered. You were in a fight, I say, and his scoff cuts me off. I told you to impress me, not state the obvious. I'm not talking about this fight, I sigh, dropping his hands to gesture around us, while simultaneously fighting the urge to punch the stupid grin off of his face. I'm not talking about the fight before this one. Oh, no, she says, I'm talking about the fight before this one. I watch him closely. Nothing that noting about his expression indicates whether that I'm right or wrong. Plagues, he's not going to make this easy for me. My gaze drops briefly to his shoes. From this close, they don't look as shiny as the ones they were when I spotted him across the loot. In fact, they don't look shiny at all. Sand. His once polished black shoes are now covered in thin dusting of sand, barely visible, as though he's been walking through the scorches. And there's only one reason why Prince, specifically the future enforcer, would set foot in the scorches at all. He banished someone, and that same someone put up a fight. I'm reminded of the two Imperials missing from rotation today, and it all begins to fall into place. The prince needs guards to drag prisoners to the scorches. Triumph begins to bloom in my chest, but I stomp it down. Something's not right. Normally, the town would be gossiping for days about who was banished and why. The criminals. They would have been paraded through the city, drawing a crowd to watch them walk to their death, but I haven't heard a single word uttered about this one. Odd, considering that they usually flaunt the banishment, use them as examples, showing them off to warn the kingdom of what happens if he crosses the king. He didn't want anyone to know about it. In a matter of seconds, I have all the information I need. You are somewhere hot, sandy. I squeeze my eyes shut before adding, the scorches. I peek up and find his eyes searching my face. You banished someone, or a group of someones. At this, he stiffens ever so slightly. His cool facade cracks, And in a small action alone, he just confirmed that I'm correct and that I shouldn't know about it. But I pause. You don't want anyone to know about that, do you? I can't suppress my small smile as he peers down at me, looking both impressed and confused. And what emotion are you sensing from all of this? He asked quietly. I blow out a breath before taking a wild guess at what the future enforcer could be feeling, if the man has emotions at all. Is it guilt I'm feeling? Worry? He seems so still at that, giving me silent confirmation that I must be at least partially correct. Was that proof enough for you, Your Highness? I am well aware of the dangerous game that I'm playing, and yet I can't seem to forfeit my feelings of hatred for him and everything he stands for. But the smirk that lifts his lips tells me he likes the game too. Plenty, plenty well. He exhales, shoving his hand in his pocket. Like you so kindly pointed out earlier, I should thank you again for helping me, darling. Payton. His dark brown eyes raised slightly in question. My name is Payton, not darling. Payton, he echoes with a small smile, testing out the word. His deep voice makes my name sound so rich, so regal, as if I'm the one with royal blood pumping through my veins. We stare at each other for a moment, his icy eyes sweeping over my flushed face and doing nothing to cool it. You know, I can enlighten you on another way and thank someone for saving your life. I pause, suppressing a smile. Repaying your debt. He tips his head back and laughs darkly. Did you not get enough silvers when you robbed me the first time? I shrug as he continues coolly. Needly, I remind you that you said a simple thank you would suffice. Yes, a thank you would suffice, not satisfy. And, well, that was also before I knew who you were. He begins backing away, all the while reaching into his pouch to pull out a coin. With a flick, it's flying towards me. I barely have enough time to throw out my hand to catch it as he says, something to remember me by. He's several steps from me now, though his eyes are still locked on mine. Oh, and darling, Payton, you were right. He takes another step backwards. I huff out a shy. I'm not even sure I should listen to what you're about to say since you didn't address me by my name, which is Payton. The sound of my name from his lips cut me off. The ladies do love me. And with a wink, he turns and strides out of the alley. Honey, I'm so sorry. I kind of was voice boo-boo on this one. I got so nervous. You're literally outside. I just texted you, do not come in. And you're like, okay. Why? But I'm not gonna tell you. You'll find out. But it's funny that this is all happening right now. But I love you, sweet girl. I'm gonna get this so that way you can come into the house. But I love you.